Most people, when other people compliment you,
Isn't it good?
so what I want you to start doing is,
pause down.
I want you to start working on your going from dragline to no leash.
Good boy.
All right. So you're going to start, you can use this with your leave it. You can use this when you start combining your go get it with your come get it from me kind of stuff, right? So going from your drag line to off lead, okay, is a process. And a lot of people really, because you're so optimistic, you're so happy about it, and sometimes you're just like, oh, he's doing so well. Sometimes we don't pay attention to, how the dog's feeling. Are they really paying attention? Like, there's all sorts of factors that influence the way you do things. Sometimes I still make mistakes when I'm driving, and I've been driving for years. Right, and it's the same for the dog. Just because they've been doing well doesn't mean they're not going to make mistakes, especially people who bench press. So when we do our markers, right? So generally with markers, anything where you have more control over the environment, right? Usually what I do is I do the 5-7 day test. Okay, so you start off with 5 days. Okay, so you start the count and then you practice. If in none of that you had to help him or block him, then you can move on to the 7 days. If you go through the 7 days and you never had to help him or block him, but you've worked on multiple pictures, so your generalization, you've worked on multiple temptations, you've even done a little bit of temptation stacking, meaning you've done a couple of temptations in a row, you've been in the house, outside the house, that sort of stuff, okay? So this is like really, really notching it in. Then you can take the lead off.
Okay.
But usually, if you go through day 1, day 2, day 3, I had to help him restart the count. Until he goes through 5 days of, number one, no corrections, meaning like you're not helping him, you're not blocking him, you're not like you don't have to look at him and tell him again. Like he's very clear, and it's been with multiple people, multiple situations, trigger stacking, all this sort of stuff, right? And you'll learn the limits of your dog. So really super difficult things you do rare, like once in a blue moon, right? When he's in a good mood, that's what you do. Less is more. When it's easy stuff, yeah, sure, And then once you've gone and doing that, then you start to vary the frequency of just practicing it.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So after you've done 5 days, no problems, never had to correct him, never had to use your drag line. Like you go through 5 days of, I didn't even need the drag line, right? Then you go to 7 days. And you repeat. Okay. If it was something like a recall, depending on the dog, if I had something like a recall, a drop in public, anything where it's out in public and like the stakes are a little higher if the dog's not successful, I will then usually do the 10-15 day
Okay.
test.
That's a long time, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Especially with your recalls, because you really want to make sure, because what happens is usually the dogs do great until they don't, and then we're shocked, and then we're like, what do we do? So I'm like, well, let's have that insurance policy, and it becomes such a habit. Will I always trust my dog to do it off leash? Not particularly,
No.
unless I do have a way to help. So often than not, you'll find Derry will have his little leash attached. Ziva usually has a leash. At the moment, she's got her remote collar, so I can help her with a tactile feedback where she goes, oh yeah, right. So I can still help her. Do I need it? Probably not, but it's going to be that 1% that I wasn't prepared, or I wasn't paying attention, or something, the unexpected that you really cannot prepare for, like a tsunami or a meteorite, or, I don't know, an airplane falls out the sky. Like, who practices that in their training sessions? Can you imagine? It's like, hey, okay, guys, today we're practicing airplanes falling out the sky.
Great.
So it really becomes this learned and conditioned response. And that's what they do in the military and all these sorts of things. They constantly practice it when you're doing it. You're like, yeah, cool.
Drill it in.
Drill. That's why basic stuff. So
if you're doing a recall in the park, what is a reasonable length that you would go to practice?
Are you talking about the leash, or are you talking about how far away the dog is?
How far away the dog is.
Okay. First off, if it's with a remote collar.
No. It's like me and Halo. It's no remote collar.
Second, well, the thing is if you've gone through this process or not. Okay, so if you've never done that with a long line, I can't answer that. Because because you have to remember, like with your recall, we have these bubbles. Okay, so if you're over here, right, then he goes, well, within this perimeter, you know, oh, you can still get me, you know, maybe. And then there'll be a distance where they're like, I know you can't get me. But and then there's a bigger one. Yeah. Where they're like, huh.
Yeah, no chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also consists of, you might have, when the dog's with you, right, you have certain levels where the furthest away a dog will go and then become uncomfortable when you move. So if you start moving away and increasing that distance and start coming to you, I call that your social distance. Okay. For some dogs, it doesn't matter. You know, you walk away, they go, yeah, no, right, I'll find you. No, like crackers.